400,000 Americans would still be here today if Donald Trump wanted to save them. Check it out, leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. There's an analog to this in the piece that I published today over at HartmannReport.com. And by the way, just to give you the layout for the day today, in our second hour, I want to get into a free market solution about guns. We revisit our gun discussions. In our third hour, I want to touch on the filibuster because it is so much bigger than just voting rights or just passing some legislation to spend some money. This whole voting rights issue has become something much, much larger than any of that. But right now, the question that I ask in the headline, in fact, of today's piece over at HartmannReport.com, which you can sign up for free, is will America hold Trump and his enablers to account for 400,000 unnecessary deaths? Is this manslaughter now that Trump has gone out and bragged that he not only ignored scientific evidence, he did the exact opposite of what he was told? I mean, it's pretty straightforward stuff. And you say, well, 400,000? Why'd you say 400,000? Well, here's the deal. While Deborah Birx, you know, I don't know if you caught the CNN special last night. Sean and I were just talking about it a few minutes ago. It was rather horrifying. And there were, you know, a lot of the things, for example, that the former CDC director was ruining the CDC. I don't know how to say it beyond that. That really didn't get brought up. But, you know, everybody was trying to say, well, I didn't do it. Trump made me do it, essentially. Or, you know, we thought we were doing the best that we could. But so Birx and her friends are on their kind of clean up our reputation tour right now. But, well, and she pointed out last night that, you know, she was getting significant pressure from Donald Trump and the people around him. And ultimately, after April, she just got cut out of all the conversation altogether. And I would say that was after April 7th. She didn't specify a date. But CNN clearly was mystified about what happened after the, you know, in the third week of April. How come everything changed? Or the second week of April? But she said that she was getting this pressure. Trump himself then went on Fox News a day or three ago and said that when Anthony Fauci told him how to save American lives, he said, I was doing the opposite of what he was saying, of what Fauci was saying. So this 400,000 number that I came up with, I didn't come up with. The Brookings Institution convened a convention over the last week, and solid scientific evidence was laid out that had Donald Trump simply done the simple stuff that, like, Australia was doing, or frankly most other developed countries in the world were doing. Now, at this point in time, you can't kind of hold up some of the Western European countries as great models because they got caught flat-footed. I mean, the virus just burned through those countries before they realized what was going on. But the countries that were like Australia that said, or New Zealand or Taiwan or South Korea, they just said, hey, everybody, wear masks. Don't go into any public venues. We're going to shut down the bars and restaurants. They did that, and, you know, very, very few deaths. So what these scientists said, well, this is how Reuters summed it up in the first paragraph of their story. Quote, the United States squandered both money and lives in its response to the coronavirus pandemic, and it could have avoided nearly 400,000 deaths with a more effective health strategy and trimmed federal spending by hundreds of billions of dollars while still supporting those who needed it. In other words, because Donald, and in fact, they go on to say, this is one of the researchers at the conference said, this guy is an economist with UCLA. He said, if by last May, the country had adopted widespread mask, social distancing, and testing protocols. Now, it was by last May. Now, there was no dispute among anybody in real science by May that we had to have masks, social distancing, and testing. But Donald Trump, no, he was opposed to all those things. So anyhow, they say, if by last May the country had adopted widespread mass social distancing and testing protocols while awaiting vaccines, end of quote, we could have saved 400,000 Americans from death. And that doesn't even count all the people who got sick and now have long hauler syndrome, or had strokes and are not paralyzed, or have damage to their lungs and now have COPD, or have damage to their heart and now have heart conditions. I mean, it does. So the question I'm asking is, when is this man going to be held accountable? When does the manslaughter trial begin? When does Congress look into this?